These lunchbox cakes are an adorable and delicious treat, and they're easy to make. I'll show you how to make these with cupcakes, mini cakes, and sheet cakes 4 different ways. Let's start by making a cake that fits perfectly into a bento-style lunchbox. Bake a sheet cake, or actually any shape of cake will work, and then press one of the sections of the lunchbox down into it, using it like a cookie cutter. Push the cake down to the bottom of the lunchbox container and brush off any crumbs, and then it's ready to frost and decorate. I like to pipe my 4-minute buttercream onto these and then smooth it with an offset spatula, but you can use any frosting and you can spread it straight on instead. Or pipe texture onto the cake, like a tray bake cake, like the one you can see at the top of the screen. To personalise your lunchbox cake with a message, put some frosting in a piping bag with a small round tip, or even easier, put the frosting in a sandwich bag, like a Ziploc bag, and cut a little piece off one of the bottom corners and then squeeze the bag to write your message. I'll show you lots of ways to decorate these lunchbox cakes throughout this tutorial, but this one is one of my favourites. Use different colours of frosting wrapped up into a plastic wrap log, and then drop it into a piping bag fitted with a star tip, and squeeze colourful little rosettes all around the edge of your cake. Put the container back into the lunchbox, snap the lid on, and it's ready to go. You can eat this right out of the lunchbox with a fork, so it's perfect to take to school or work or a picnic or wherever. If you have 4-inch cake pans, you can bake mini cake layers in those. Use a serrated knife like a bread knife to trim the top off so that it's flat, and then divide the cake in half horizontally to make 2 layers so that you can put filling in the middle of the cake. Cut a square of parchment paper or wax paper or baking paper that's just big enough to fit the cake on, and place the first cake layer on that. For runny fillings, pipe a ring of frosting around the outer edge of the first cake layer, and then spoon your filling into the middle. This is blueberry jam, and this next one is Nutella. The dams will stop the filling from oozing out from between the cake layers. Pick up the cake by pinching opposite corners and move the cake into a food container. And I like to decorate them inside the container so that you don't accidentally damage it as you put it in later. Piping looks really nice on these. These frosting kisses are piped with a round tip, and I'm adding sprinkles to jazz it up. Or you can spread frosting to cover the top and then pipe a border around the edge, like this rope border using an open star number 32 tip. By using a container just bigger than the cake won't slide around when you take the container to wherever you're having lunch. What a fun and delicious treat to dig into. If you don't have a mini cake pan, you can bake a sheet cake or any shape of cake and then use something round that's about 4 inches wide to cut out your cake layers, like a large round cookie cutter or even the rim of a glass. You can fill these just like cakes baked in mini pans, but since the edges of the cake aren't caramelized and sealed like they are when you bake them in a pan, the cake won't stay moist for as long, so either cut the layers out of the sheet cake as close to serving as possible, or frost the entire cake so it doesn't dry out. Mini cakes are tricky to frost because they're so lightweight, but if you attach the cake to a cake board with a dot of buttercream and then put the cake in the freezer for 15 minutes, the dot of buttercream will set and hold the cake in place as you frost it. Cold cake layers are firmer and less crumbly and wobbly than they are when they're at room temperature, so after being in the freezer for just 15 minutes, the cake will be much easier to frost. After frosting it, put it back in the freezer for another 15 minutes to set the frosting, and then you'll be able to slide an offset spatula or knife underneath the cake to lift it up off the cake board and lower it into a food container. These meringues are really easy to make and they look so pretty. The recipe and tutorial link is in the video description and in the top of the screen. So delicious. The frosting keeps the cake nice and moist. The quickest and easiest version of a lunchbox cake is to use a cupcake. Peel the wrapper off and put the cupcake in a plastic cup, which will protect it and keep it upright when it's inside a lunchbox. Put some frosting in a piping bag with a star tip, like a 1M tip, and pipe a swirl onto the top of the cupcake, stopping before the top edge of the cup. Add sprinkles if you like, and then after packing a lunchbox, squeeze the cup in so that it's surrounded by things that will keep it in place. The cup will protect those things from damaging the frosting, and it makes the perfect little bowl for this yummy lunchbox cupcake. Which lunchbox cake are you going to make? Tell me in the comments. Visit my Cake School for online courses on hundreds of cake decorating techniques and designs, and join my Club Plus for access to all of my master courses, mini courses, and live workshops. Thanks for watching.